Sunday night I was at the Comedy Store. I got into a conversation. It was really funny. It was funny at first, but then I went home and I thought about what had transpired and what had said, and I felt sad. I felt so sad. I called Dean Delray at 1 a.m.
Really?
And we talked for about an hour because it was a conversation about the movie The Joker.
Okay.
And it was Eddie Ift, a couple guys in the back, and Eddie Ift was saying how he didn't enjoy the film because it had some type of, it let the public know that it's okay to shoot people or something. And then Alonzo Bowden was sitting there, who, guy was like, he fixed airplanes for a living. He worked for Boeing. And he made an interesting point when it was on stage. He goes, I enjoyed the movie, but it also let me know how that's every comic you know. That could happen to every comic you know because of the highs and the lows. And I went on stage and, I got off and I talked to Whitney and I talked to this guy and you say hello to the bartender and you really forget. And as I was driving up Laurel Canyon, a fact came into my mind that not a lot of people know, but I'll tell you. From 1995 to 2000, I was pretty much homeless, guys. It was every day was a different story. It's where I ended up. When I left Boulder, June of 95, I'm sorry, I left with a car filled with stuff, the essentials, and I packed up some stuff in storage, and I thought I was going to come back, but in my heart I knew I wasn't coming back. There was no way to lie to nobody.
You were going to Seattle.
I was going to Seattle, but I was going to go do this comedy thing. I was going to go see what it was really about. I had a touch of the road already. I knew what the road was about. I had featured at a club already, but not really. It was like a C club. I was going to the Comedy Underground, a well-known club, and I didn't know anybody or whatever. And I went up there and I lived with the stripper, my dear friend. And, my name wasn't on the lease. She'd throw me out every 2 months. I'd end up at Josh Wolf's house or somebody's house. And then we lived in a trailer. It was her trailer. And then I came down here and we broke up like in 97. And pretty much from 97 and a half to 2000, I was pretty much homeless. Like that would make somebody go, you know what, how much do I really love comedy?
I don't think I would do it.
It's time to get a job and really assess my life. And I just had no other choices. I had no other options. I had tried everything already.
Did any part of you think about going back to selling drugs or?
Oh yeah, the plan was the failure and to go back to New Jersey and just sling until I died. Whatever that means.
How far? Like what did failure mean to you if being homeless wasn't there yet?
Failure was spinning my wheels, which I felt deep down inside I wasn't. And actually my instincts were correct. Spinning my wheels. At least I was getting spots at the store. I would go to the store at 9:05 and take a shower some days. And I would go about my day, and then I'd go back in there about 7:15, 6:45, 6:30 before the bartenders got there, and I'd go in the main room and take another shower. And I'd be ready for the night, and just thinking about all those things got me so depressed. I called Dean up because as of 2 or 3 years ago, when Dean started on the podcast, Dean would go to New York and would be basically homeless. He would start every day at 12 and go to a coffee shop and write jokes and then hit all these open mics and hit some paid gigs to put some change in his pocket. And then he would walk around and go on that hotel app.
Or Hotel Tonight, yeah.
Hotel Tonight. And he'd wait till 10 o'clock to get a room. And I got to be honest with you, and you guys know me, there was a lot of nights that I sat there going, should I just send him $300? Like, why is he doing this? And right before I was about to pick up the phone to send him the money, it dawned on me that this is what you have to do. This is the sacrifice. This proves to you that what you're doing, this makes you committed into what you're doing, I had tons of highs and lows when I got here. A couple of them were suicidal as fuck. that most people would ice themselves or most people would quit. You know, one came up in particular with Dean where, you know, when you start auditioning, you get lucky at first. You know, knowledge is not power sometimes. Going in there not knowing what's going on is way better sometimes. Sometimes you hit the jackpot not even knowing. And then when you get smart, you don't book dicks
Right.
for years. Once you know what you're doing, you won't book nothing. And you go, wait a second, maybe I should go back to what I was doing. So you don't really know. But for a year, I had a manager that was a real manager. His job was to get you out every day and get you on a TV show. And Lee, he went at it with all his heart on a daily basis. This guy would fight. He was a fighter. Jewish guy, one of those desert Jews, short, tanned, you know, yarmulke wearing. But man, when he went to work in the morning, he went to work. There was nights he would call me at 12:30 at night with an audition. You know, like I'd be like, who's texting me? Like, who's paging me? And it would be him. And I'd go like, what's going on? He's like, I just emailed you a script. Go home, read it. You got to be in there by 10 o'clock tomorrow. Like that type of stuff. So for a year, I took a beating, Lee, just going to auditions, walking out and saying, I got this role. And then I wouldn't even hear back from them.
Right.
You know, after they would like be like, thank you for coming in. It was so nice meeting you. We're going to come to the store and watch you one night. I would just go in there to eat a bag of dicks pretty much. And this went on from 98 to about 2001. Think of going into things, big things. Like I was going to, I remember going into for Men in Black.
Damn.
Like I remember going in for the first one and going like Rona Kress. That's her cast. That's the casting agent. Rona Kress was huge then. Like if you got in to see Rona Kress, people would go like, "Who do you have as representation?" There was 3 or 4 people that you could not get in with in those days. Like the lady who cast Spider-Man 2, she cast Pretty Women and a bunch of other things.
Damn.
She wouldn't see you. I don't even know how I got in there. The guy that he casts the Walter Hill movies and all of Blade and all those movies. Ruben, I forget what his name is, black dude, gentleman of a dude. That's when you used to have to pre-read, Lee. That's when you used to have to go and read for an assistant. And if the assistant thought you were good enough, then you'd go home and get a call and go back the next day and read for the casting director.
Jesus.
And then if he liked you, he called you back again. This is when they were allowing budgets to cast people. Like real, now, if you know anything about casting, they cast right from the sheet. Like they just go down the sheet and call, they just put offers out. Like I had an audition when I first busted up my leg, and I was like, I don't know if I should go or not. And I called them and I go, listen, I'm not going to make it because of my leg. Can I put it on tape? The audition was at 4. At 4:45, they called me back. I'm like, oh no, they already made an offer to somebody. So they were going to make me drive all the way to Wilshire and read, even though they had made an offer to somebody.
Right.
That's the type of world we live in today. Back then, they wouldn't lie to you. Like, and that Walter Hill audition, it was a movie with Ving Rhames and Ruben, and it was Ving Rhames and the guy who went to jail for taxes for Blade.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was him, and I'll never forget that. I swear to God, I must have gone in 7 times. Damn. To read for that, for the Travolta movie, 7 or 8 times.
Same lines, or they'd give you different lines?
Same lines. Sometimes they expand the script. Sometimes they give you all your scenes from the movie, so they make sure you can read all the scenes from the movie and you can handle it. It was just buck wild. You know, I remember reading for The Sopranos and the paper shaking. But my point is that it's tough not to snap. It's tough not to snap as a comic. And that night, I didn't sleep much that night. And because that's how much it affected me. Like what I went through to get here, like the mud that I went through to get here. You know, I used to be really hot this time of the year. Right now is my time of the year. Like commercials, I would burn them right now because this is so Super Bowl time. And it's also, we have to shoot this pilot time. And I'll never forget, like every year during the holidays I couldn't enjoy the holidays. They ruined my holidays. Better yet, I let them ruin my holidays because of my weak mind. You know, when I walk into an audition now and I do an audition, I walk out and I get in my car and it's done. It's done, Lee. It's done. And people look at me and go, how do you do that? It's 20 years.
Right.
There's no use of taking this home with me. But there was a time when you're slipping on somebody's couch that you need this. This is not a joke. You need this. You need this worse than ever. And there was one particular time that I came all the way home because when I read the script, I go, I can't see anybody doing this. It was a show for Fox or NBC. It was NBC, you know, the crazy roommate, the straight two white guys. I forget who the lead was. But I came all the way off the road, had to sleep on a couch. Like, I think Ralphie was out of town. He took the keys so nobody could go in there, so that killed me. So I had to sleep on a couch. I didn't have a car. My apartment got towed then. That's when my apartment got towed. So I had to sleep on this guy's couch. And from December, 6th, the torture started. Like December 6th started. Come on, we want to read Joey Diaz. Went down there, read, came back. 2 days later, we want to read you again. Went down there, read again. They want to read you again. They read with 4 guys. So I had to read with the 4 guys they were looking at and see how we looked together in the room. Went back down there, read with each guy individually. Then the weekend hit, went back down there a week later and read new lines and revisions. And then went down there, they made me go to stage, and we had to do the scene on stage.
Whoa.
Okay, with the paper in your hand, like a little play for a scene. They taped that. That went on till December 19th.
So 2 weeks of that? Oh, my God.
So for 2 weeks, my whole life was embroidered in that. Yeah, there were other auditions and other stuff. And then, boom, the holidays hit. I didn't hear nothing. I mean, I was pissed, Lee. On December 19th, I was furious.
Just staring at your phone.
I was staring. I would sleep with the pager. I needed this job. This wasn't a job. I needed this. Whatever the pilot paid, 15 grand, and then whatever the episodes were after that, I could care less what they were. This was in my world the end of my dilemma. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I saw it as a means to an end. So when you see things as a means to an end, they hurt more. They hurt a lot more. And I'll never forget that I had to wait it out from the 19th to the 4th or 5th of January. And that first morning I called him and I go, man, tell me what's going on. He goes, this has been the worst holiday season because they called me on the 24th. And I go, what'd they tell you? And he goes, they went with a black guy. So 2 weeks of driving to Orange County. I got nothing against black guys. I got nothing against black people, but it takes your heart and it just rings it. It just rings it, you know. And you're getting 10 of those in a shot. I still remember Steve Renazizi coming up to me, with tears in his eyes, and Bobby Lee, all those guys. We all went through a patch where you really start to test your sanity. You try to, not test it, but you start to question it. What am I doing? What am I doing? And then you go home, pick up the pieces, and there you are the next day. And, you hurt. When you hear you didn't get the role, you hurt. And then you know what the crazy thing is? That all that pain that you went through and all that anguish, the show gets made, it gets picked up. You curse it. You're cursing it the whole time. Fuck you, I hope you fail. And sure enough, there's 6 episodes and the show gets canceled.
Right. And
you feel so much better now. You're so I've learned over the years that the roles I didn't get, they didn't matter. Once, they didn't really matter once they were done.